us. We've had a few listens though, a few plays, whether it be here on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I think we're on iHeartRadio, YouTube, obviously. We got some short form content out there on TikTok. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. Like I said, we're still pretty early in this game. This week, I think I was going to give you guys a little twofer of a couple more interviews, actually from River City Wrestling Con in Jacksonville last month. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and throw a threefer at you guys. I'm just going to throw a triplet at you. We're gonna really hear from an eclectic group today. I think I'm gonna throw Mike Chioda, obviously longtime legendary referee with originally the WWF, then the WWE. Harley Cameron of AEW. She was fantastic to talk to. You'll hear a little bit from her. And then I think we're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to talk to the daughter of the late Roddy Piper, Teal Piper. I got to talk with her a little bit about, the pressures of being Roddy Piper's daughter. And, those are pretty big shoes to fill. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And these are just a couple quick interviews, like I said, that I got while I was down there at River City Wrestling Convention. Stay tuned at the end. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag who my next guest is going to be. And like I told you guys last week, this is probably going to be wrestling heavy at times because that's where, most of my connections are and where I'm most comfortable. But next week we're going to step outside the realm of wrestling. And I think you guys are going to enjoy the interview. Like I told you last week, if you guys would please support me by listening to the podcast, downloading the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Like I said, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, basically wherever you listen to your podcasts. I think I've made this available. So hopefully you guys are digging that. At Jurat, JURRRATTT. That's all the socials at Jurat. That's JURRRATTT. That is Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's pretty much everything. So if you guys would please, rate this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, leave me a short review, that would help me so much in the podcast world. Then secondly, what would be just so immensely helpful is if you went over to the YouTube and checked out the video version of these interviews, and subscribed and dropped me some comments over there. Like I said before, getting the subscriber count up on YouTube and on the podcasts, that is really going to open some doors for me. And it's going to allow me to get more quality guests, for you guys and for me. Like I said, I'm a fan. This is the fan's view. I'm a fan. I want to talk to these people as much as I want to, put out content for you guys. But, to do that, I need your support. I don't need money from you. And everything I'm asking for is free. All it takes is your time and a little bit of effort. Just like I said, drop a like and subscribe to the pod. Drop a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is at Jurat. We'll be cruising on this thing. All that said, now that I'm done shilling, let's throw this thing to Mike Chioda, legendary, long time WWE official referee, Mike Chioda. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll talk to you on the other side. Hey, I'm here at River City Wrestling Con with the one and only Mike Chioda. Mike,
thank you, brother.
The first
How you
thing,
doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Are you having a good time here today?
Very good time.
That's good. So, a man in your position, you've been in the WWF for
No,
wow.
that's all right.
For so long, you've seen it all. What do you think the WWE now looks like post Vince?
I think it's with The Rock coming back, really stepped up the game.
Right.
Post Vince and all that. I mean, it's unbelievable to go to work with The Rock. In many years, I've gotten to work his matches, 90s, 2000s, and decades. You know, with John Cena when he came back from Hollywood. And I think The Rock just picked up business for them in TKO, man. Just unbelievable. Look
And
what
now
he did at WrestleMania.
And now it's just a train on the tracks. You can't stop.
I mean, you know, since they hired The Rock, look where it's at. Look where it's going.
I really think The Rock is going to take them to even newer heights.
That's correct.
And speaking of The Rock, somebody from The Rock's era, you were around for him. I would love to hear a story. Maybe you have one about the late Owen Hart.
Oh, man, Owen Hart. God bless his soul, and, you know, I miss him very much. Always respected the Hart Foundation, their family, where they came. They had a lot of respect for wrestling as well. Brett was a very good friend of mine. He's a very good friend of mine, Brett.
Right.
Owen was great. And Owen's pulled a lot of ribs, man. And he was a
Is there any that really stick out to you over the years?
He ordered, like, I think 10 dinners in Japan. I remember he ordered, like, 10 dinners to my table. I ordered one, and then 10 plates of spaghetti and meatball or something came out. 10 of them. I'm like, no, I didn't. And I've seen him order pizzas to rooms, and he's done a lot.
And we've all heard about him putting all the barn animals in Vince's office.
That's it.
And I guess my last question for you to be, I know you have a long career, and it's hard to pick one or two or three.
Right.
But just the first that comes to your mind, one of your favorite moments of being in the ring.
Man, I mean, you know, I was with the company 17 years at that point, 2002, Toronto Sky Dome, Rock and Hogan, icon against icon. The way, you know, the Canadian fans out there were just unbelievable. They still are unbelievable. And they just respect wrestling. And, you know, when Hogan came out, what a reaction.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And just in the beginning of the match, just to stare down, you know, for what this match is worth. It wasn't going to be a high-flying match.
Right.
Off the top rope, off this.
Right.
You know, but, man, they really had to, you know, everybody expected something in that match. And I think Rock and Hogan gave it everything they wanted.
You know, I
the
think
push off, the shove off in the beginning.
Exactly.
He had the crowd on the entrance.
Exactly. And I think JR said it best. If you watch that match with no sound,
right,
it's pretty underwhelming.
Right.
But when you turn it on and you get the feel and the flash bulbs and Hogan and Rock and two pros to know, sit there, stare down, look at the crowd, let it simmer. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
You really can't, man. You really
I want to thank you so much, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You are the man.
I
appreciate you and all your work you've done.
Really appreciate it.
As being a third man, you're the best third man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, big fan, if you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.
All right, welcome back, guys. Mike Chioda was fantastic to talk to. He's got such a rich history in this business, you know, the wrestling business, that is. And, you know, when I recorded that interview, we were about, I'd say, a week or two past the 25th anniversary of the unfortunate accident that claimed the life of Owen Hart. So I just thought it was appropriate to ask him, you know, what his fun Owen Hart story would be, you know, because anybody you talk to in the wrestling business has an Owen Hart rib story, or, you know, will take time out of their day to tell you about how great of a human being Owen was, you know, even more so than a wrestler. And he was a tremendous wrestler, obviously, but he wasn't comfortable sitting down for an interview. But I can also say, while on the topic of Owen, the Godfather, Charles Wright, Papa Shango, he actually had just great things to say about Owen. He didn't feel comfortable talking about it. He didn't want to talk about Owen, and not for the fact that he didn't want to tell people how amazing Owen Hart was. It's just that, like he told me, he said, man, that was my match, you know, when Owen had his accident. So that's something that he lives with every day. So I didn't push the issue, and I didn't want to push him to be on the podcast when he wasn't comfortable. But I did want to just let you guys know that Charles was nice enough to just share his thoughts on Owen just as a human being. He said he was a hell of a father. He was a loyal, dedicated husband, which is nothing we don't already know. But it's just it's always nice to hear that. He said Owen wasn't like most of the boys who are unfortunately out running around cheating on their wives, and, you know, drinking and smoking and getting into fights and just causing chaos. Owen just wanted to get to work, do his job, go home, see his family, which you have to respect. Another thing that Chioda touched on was the importance of The Rock returning, not just in a competitor sense, but being that he's now on the TKO board, the parent company for the WWE. So it seems like we've got The Rock back, maybe not as a television character, but at least as an ambassador for the wrestling company, for the wrestling business, not just the WWE, but the wrestling business as a whole. I think will greatly benefit from The Rock being involved in any capacity, let alone, being a board member. So with that said, moving on from Mike Chioda, this was my favorite interview I had at River City Wrestling Con. I cannot put her over enough. She was so sweet, so kind. So happy to do the interview with me. And we discussed sitting down and doing a longer form interview, but we've got to work things out with AEW's PR team, which is kind of where you guys come in, getting those followers up on my podcast and on the YouTube. So AEW, views me as a reputable media member and not just some guy, sitting at home with a microphone. I'm talking about Harley Cameron, of course. She is terrific. She is still getting her feet wet in the wrestling business, but working under a savvy veteran like Saraya, can only do wonders for her career. And she talks about that a little bit in the interview. She was, like I said, she was so much fun to talk to. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to come through in the interview. So I'm going to get out of the way, and I'm going to let you guys listen to my conversation with Harley Cameron of All Elite Wrestling. Hey, I'm here at River City Wrestling Con with the beautiful Harley Cameron.
Stop it, sir.
First off, Harley, how you liking today? Are you enjoying yourself here?
It is wonderful. It is very busy, but busy is good, so everyone's having a good time. Are you having a good time?
I am having a great time.
Yes.
There's so many stars from, the days of yesterday, today, superstars like yourself.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
First thing I want to ask you, what would you say, when did you catch the wrestling bug?
When did I catch it? I caught it as a child, like I think most of us do. But then, you kind of grow up and you go through the phases sometimes of it not being as, in-depth in your life. But then I think when I moved to America and I realized I could actually do it, I definitely got more excited to get back into it. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think I speak for everybody. When you came on our screens as a piece of eye candy, but man, you're killing it.
Thank you.
I want to gush over you on YouTube a little bit.
You're gonna give me a big head. My head's gonna go. Bah!
Well, you're already with Saraya, who I know pretty well. I know your head's gonna.
Yes.
She'll keep you in check.
I love her. She's a sweetheart. Look, she's down here.
And that
there she is. Come down here. That's my love. My love. Yes.
And that actually leads me to my next question.
Yes.
Somebody like Saraya is such a wealth of knowledge.
She is.
What would you say so far would be one of the biggest things you've learned from her?
I learn so much from her every day. It's crazy because she's one of the biggest inspirations I actually ever had in wrestling. So to be side by side with her now is surreal. But just everything from stuff in the ring, obviously everything, the way things operate at work, promos, just literally everything. She is one of the greatest, I think, that's ever done it. And I'm very lucky to learn from her and be with her.
I think we'd all agree with
that.
I
love you, Saraya. I love you. I love you. I love
you. We're going to put you over hard, Saraya. Retweet this, please.
I love you so much, baby.
And then finally, this has been a controversial topic here lately.
Yes. Oh.
It's fans in the airport.
Fans in the airport.
Where do you stand personally? Not that we're encouraging this, but where do you stand on fans in the airport?
Look, at the end of the day, we wouldn't get to do what we do if it wasn't for everyone that loves and watches and supports us. So I feel like anyone that takes the time to want to get to meet us, then absolutely I'll always have the time of day because we appreciate you guys. I just personally think it's different if you want to meet and have a personal encounter as opposed to sometimes people will approach you with
a stack of 8x10.
A stack of stuff because they want to maybe make money off you, and I'm not, down for that kind of stuff. So if you want to genuinely meet and have a photo or get an autograph, absolutely always going to support that. But if you're trying to follow us to make some money. Yeah, that's where I kind of draw
stay
the
away
line.
from the hotels.
Yeah, stay away from the hotels.
Stay away from the hotels.
We're trying to sleep. You know?
Well, that's all I got for you, Harley. Thank you so much for taking the time.
You are welcome. It's lovely to meet you.
It's great to meet you.
Yes, and what's your YouTube channel called?
This is going to be Hey Big Fan.
Hey Big Fan! Yeah!
Hey, big fan, if you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.
Enjoy. Harley Cameron, folks. Harley Cameron. She was wonderful, beautiful, well-spoken. Excuse me, well-spoken. And I mean, how can you not love an Australian, right? Like I said, I hope that me and her are going to sit down because there is just so much to talk about with Harley. She's a wrestler. She's a songwriter. She's a recording artist. She's a model. She's a comedian. She is a Jill of all trades, and I'm really excited to see what she does in the professional wrestling business and beyond. I mean, the sky's the limit for her. So hopefully we see her just flourish in AEW. So to bring an end to the threefer for you guys, I had the opportunity to talk to Teal Piper, who of course is the daughter of the late great WWE Hall of Famer Roddy Piper. And it was just a couple minutes worth of interview, but it was very pointed in the sense that she talks about, you know, the pros and cons to being the daughter of someone so highly regarded and so mainstream popular. And it's just, you know, there's a quote that I love that she says in this interview that I think you guys are going to really enjoy about a doors in her when someone of her position with the family she has, doors open quick but they shut twice as fast. You know, they open easier but they shut twice as fast. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. But you guys will hear her in the interview. She was wonderful to talk to. So if you have a chance, if you see her at your local convention or she's on your local indie, you know, her wrestling career is really still in its early stages, but she's got the pedigree, man. I think she's gonna make something of herself. So with that said, I'm gonna throw it to my interview with Teal Piper, and I will we'll wrap this thing up on the other side, guys. I'm here at River City Wrestling Convention with the one and only Teal Piper. Teal, first of all, how are you enjoying your experience here at River City Wrestling?
This is my first time at River City Wrestling. I'm having a great time, actually. Getting to see everybody is half the fun, you know? It's like a reunion everywhere you go.
Right. So I guess my first question, everybody's going to ask it. I would never want to ask you a personal story about your dad.
But you're gonna?
No.
All right.
Wrestling related. What is your favorite wrestling memory of your dad?
So for wrestling related memories, it's weird because like a lot of them I wasn't there for. I was a child,
right?
So most of my memories are dad is dad,
right?
Or dad bitching about wrestling.
No, he wouldn't do that, would he?
No, not at all. I think for me one of my favorites, especially now that I look back at his career, not as just my dad, but as looking at it as a professional, watching his work and stuff. I still love the Coconut, the Jimmy Snuka, and I think part of that is because of. One, that's like the peak of Roddy Piper and his character and how great he was on the mic and how, still to this day everyone talks about it. But then also, I see a lot of just him, like they always say that the best wrestlers are themselves exaggerated, and he definitely was that.
Right.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've been in a kitchen trying to make a smoothie with that man. And let me tell you, there's fruit everywhere. He's loud, he's funny, and like I see a lot of him in that, and so it kind of warms my heart in like a personal way.
Right.
So I feel like that's one of my favorite moments he has.
Right. What do you think? What would you say is the biggest challenge? Being in the wrestling business, but obviously you're Roddy Piper's daughter, so that follows you everywhere you go.
It does, obviously. It has, there's a lot of blessings, a lot of curses. I once heard somebody say, the thing with being somebody's kid is the door opens quick, but it shuts twice as fast. So I don't get the opportunities to grow as a talent that maybe some other people do get. You know, when you make a mistake on your first match, everyone's interested to see it versus getting to a point where people pay attention to you because you've gotten at that level. But so I've had to work at a pretty steep curve. I think the biggest thing for me is just remembering that I'm not trying to fill his footsteps. I'm trying to make my own. You know, people try to push you to, you know, be a copy and paste to somebody, and there's only ever going to be one him. So I'm not trying to do that, you know, like I might have elements of it that are reminiscent or something, but I'm really just trying to do what's best for me and carve my own way and enjoy the ride because,
Absolutely. And that's even harder to be his daughter and try to, you know, carve out your own niche in this business. I guess my last question for you would be, who in the wrestling landscape now, whether it be WWE, AEW, who are some of your favorites to watch as a fan, maybe from the couch?
Okay, let me think. I look at everything so analytical. I will say, I mean, some of my favorites: Asuka, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins. I'm trying to think. Zoe Stark.
Yes.
I don't know. There's a lot of people I admire. Like, you know what it is? I match study, I tape study a lot, and I pick elements that I'm like, oh, I love that about that person. I love that about that person. So it's just like whatever you catch me, whatever I saw last, I'm thinking of whatever made me excited about that match. But I definitely appreciate it from a different viewpoint than I used to now that I look for different things.
Right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us when you didn't have to. We appreciate you so much. That's going to be it for us, guys. We'll see you later.
Hey, big fan, if you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.
All right. We got to thank Teal Piper for giving us her time at River City Wrestling Convention. Like I said, I really enjoyed speaking with her. She was very open and honest, you know, because everybody asks her about her dad. So, you know, you can understand if, you know, she doesn't always want to talk about that. But she was very, very generous with her time and with what she was willing to talk about. So hopefully you guys can give her a follow at Teal Piper, I believe, on Instagram. All my guests today were just terrific. Like I said, I really enjoyed talking to Mike Chioda, a real veteran in the business. Then on the complete other side of the coin, you had someone like Harley Cameron, who's so new, you know, so green, but has so much potential and upside. And then, you know, wrap it up with someone who's been in the business for a long time, you know, through her father, who grew up in this business of professional wrestling, but is now trying to forge ahead and really make a name for herself, which is not always easy. It's not always easy. Those are big shoes she has to fill. You know, it's not just that her father was a professional wrestler, that her father was in the WWE. Like, her father was a Hall of Famer and is probably on some Mount Rushmores, you know, of professional wrestling. So those are big shoes to fill. But if anybody can do it, I really believe she can. She's definitely got the talent. All that said, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up this week. Thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of the Fans View podcast. Like I've told you guys before, your support means the absolute world to me. So if you could just, wherever you're listening to this, whatever podcast platform, if you could just give me a follow, a like, a comment, a review, you know, that would be so helpful. And then head over to YouTube at Jurat. That's JURRRATTT, and hit subscribe and watch some videos. Leave me some comments, drop some likes, and we'll get those numbers up, and we'll start getting you guys some kick-ass guests. Not that I don't already have some lined up for you, but you know, they're only going to get better. This thing's only going to go up. We're going to build this thing from the ground floor. That said, I'd love to tell you guys that next week we are actually, like I've said in the beginning of this episode, we are going to step away from the wrestling side of this for a little while, and we are going to talk to up-and-coming comedian Morgan Gallo. Morgan Gallo Comedy on Instagram. She is absolutely hilarious. I'm going to be talking to her this week, and I could not be more excited. I think you guys are going to love her. She is so funny. She's a female comedian out of Denver, Colorado. I believe she's originally from Florida. We'll probably touch on that in the interview. But I think you guys are really going to dig her. I've enjoyed, seeing her come up on Instagram is actually where I found her, Instagram and TikTok. So that's going to be next week. Morgan Gallo, at Morgan Gallo Comedy, is where you guys can find her on Instagram. And I think that's going to be it for this week. Go hit me up on the socials. Like I said, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Everything is at Jurat, at JURRATTT. And I'll see you guys next week for episode 3. And we're going to have the wonderful Morgan Gallo on. Until next time, I will see you guys later.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.